everybody, welcome to Any Way You Slice It. I am jsnflm. This SMF right here is Peter Tesian. And tonight we're rolling back the clock.
Has a 1984 tie-in there.
Yeah. No, people get it. We're rolling back the clock to 1984 because, Peter, what are we doing today? What are all these albums and CDs laid out in front
We're
of
talking about 1984, and pretty much, well, not entirely, because a lot of stuff was big in 84 that was maybe released late 83, but for the most part, we're talking about 84. And it started because it's anniversary time.
Yeah, 40 years. Actually, every album we talk about is 40 years old this year, but, you know, we want to give special attention to this right here. Kiss Animalize. I mean, it's well known. We love Animalize. Is it our favorite Kiss album? Hell no, not even close.
It's one of them for me, that's for sure.
Non-makeup, it's actually like up there for both of us. Although I like Lick It Up better. But, yes. And we love the Gene songs, don't we? Don't we? We love the Gene songs.
Absolutely.
We will defend those songs till the end of time.
So, for me it was, like I said, I got Alive copied from a vinyl onto cassette from my friend, and Alive 2 on the other side, and then I started trading tapes with friends, and I don't think I bought this new, because at the time I was just really getting into music, and I don't think I even knew where the record stores were really at. That was later that year, but this was the one that was out at the time, and I probably traded a pocket knife and a comic book and, you know, gummy worms and stuff.
Lucky rabbit foot.
Whatever I had to do. Oh, we were trading rabbit's feet.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
And
nunchucks and stuff
exactly.
like that. Oh yeah, it was 84. We were Chuck Norris crazy, but and I ended up getting this on cassette. So, and I absolutely think it's amazing. I don't really compare this directly to the Makeup Years because it's its own thing.
It is.
But it's one of the best ones without makeup, I think, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I go Lick It Up and probably this, and then maybe Revenge. Mm-hmm. Asylum's great too, though. Man.
I mean, they're a pair. They are a perfect pair if we want to talk about King Crimson. So we got this really cool Japanese version, which I don't know how much I paid. I might have paid like 80, 90 bucks if I remember right for this sucker.
That's when you know you love an album. You're paying 90 bucks for it.
Especially when you already have 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, and here they are.
This is a what is this? A reissue? Feel heavy metal, Jason.
I feel it.
Heavy.
God, I can't even lift it up.
Yep, and of course they reissue it with the normal American Mercury
Just
label.
The way you got it originally.
Yep. Then I got a Vertigo, which is a English version, which I think also is the Casablanca. Oh, whoa, that's way cool.
Different.
Definitely not
Vertigo.
Casablanca. Yeah, Vertigo. So Sabbath and Kiss on the same label, right? And then a standard American copy, but as you can see, it's got the crinkly trinkly on it still.
Uh-huh.
So super special.
I like how it has that on it, but you even put it in a sleeve.
Well, yeah, we don't want to rip it off. What's that say? Does it say Pain Pack or something like that?
Probably.
Pain
Pack. Pain Pack didn't sell
Payless,
albums.
Paynville.
Yeah.
Payless Shoe Source or something.
Yeah, he got it at a shoe store.
So, Animalize, 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's the one that was out at the time for me. Oh, look at
You know
that.
what? I almost wore mine. But I decided to wear Thrash or Die.
What do you have? You have the
for
back
our
cover?
pal Ralph.
Or you have the front
no,
cover?
I have that exact same
You
shirt.
have the same one?
Same shirt.
So that was big. That album, along with the 2 Kiss Live albums from the 70s, really helped to get me into, it really helped secure me. Like, I wanted to play drums, I wanted to be in a band, I wanted to have long hair, I wanted to do the whole thing. Before that, I had Pyromania, which I got for Christmas on vinyl. And I had one other big, heavy album. What was it? I had bought on 6th Ave here in Tacoma. I had bought a budget. I had bought the 7-inch for Come On Feel the Noise. Yeah. Which we got here. Because, I mean, oh man, the first Quiet Riot. How can your first album be so good and all the rest, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good album. It's a really good album.
When he pulled this out to show it, I was like, that's not 84? He goes, yeah, but I don't want to show Condition Critical.
Yeah, but I mean, I had just gotten this just months before Animalize and Alive 2, and this album was huge through '84.
Oh yeah.
When all the other stuff was coming out, Ratt and all that stuff. This was huge because they had big videos. They were on American Bandstand. And I remember seeing the second album cover is similar to this. You know what I mean?
Very similar.
And those visually they looked very similar. They looked like a pair, but musically, songs are way better on this album, I think. You know. But this was huge through '84. Pyromania, Mental Health, and then the stuff that really cinched it was the Kiss stuff, and Animalize was part of that. So.
And that leads us into 1984 and this plethora of stuff in front of us we're going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want to talk about first?
Real quick. I got
sidebar.
I've always wanted this issue. And like a lot of people, if you don't read it up close and look at it, see what year it came out, and read this stuff down here, fine print, Casey and the Sunshine Band, people like that. It looks like it's straight up like Kiss in 1969 or something like that. Whoever designed this, the circles, the colors up here, the image. But it just, this issue always looked so badass, and I could never really afford a really nice one. So I finally picked up this reader, and it's really, really cool. It looks like an early 70s awesome rock mag, but what it really is a 1978 pop teen, like, what does Gene and Paul like to eat for dinner mag. It's still cool.
What's it like to date Ace?
Yeah, is Ace a good kisser? I don't know. Stuff like that, but it's got some very cool stuff in it. Still, it's still got a lot of great picks, but they definitely ain't talking about their gear in here.
No, no.
They're talking about what they like to eat for snacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Getting close to Kiss. Yeah. Oh, great pick on the back, by the way. Yeah. Very cool. Here we go. Me and Jason are gonna work this out later. How to look like Kiss.
We should have did that before our tribute band.
Yeah. We
failed.
We would have looked more. They look more like Kiss than we do. This is kind of cool because this right here talks about who are their heroes. Probably the most sensible article in the whole magazine. Check this out. Gene's talking about. He's talking about Lon Chaney.
I was gonna say
Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, The Who. Peter is talking about
Gene Krupa. Let me guess. John Wayne, Gangsters.
He's talking about Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan and Jane as relatives. Peter has always been an animal lover. I get it, and claims Tarzan and Jane as relatives. This is the silly make stuff for the tabloids era here. His favorite group is the Rolling Stones. Most people say Peter Criss is some jazz drummer. He's really not a jazz drummer. He's rock.
Yeah.
It's slightly earlier rock, maybe.
He's got some swing, but...
He admires Robert De Niro, Joan Crawford, as well as Al Pacino. They're talking about actors here, like Peter's already a full-blown actor or something. But he's talking about... Who else is he talking about?
Does he mention that he was in gangs?
He also looks up to The Who and David Bowie for musical heroes. Ace... Let me guess, Hendrix. It says... it only lists Hendrix. Isn't that funny? Where's Jimmy Page, by the way? Yeah. So you can bet your last time Ace spent plenty of hours in front of the TV taking in Star Trek, and he's probably one of the people who has already seen Star Wars 10 times. A space nut. And they just really mentioned Jimi Hendrix.
Isn't Ace... He's the space nut in Kiss, right? That was his official title.
So who are Paul's influences going to be?
Well, I know for a fact who they really are, but what's that going to say?
Yeah, what do you think it's going to say?
Probably like...
So
who's the guy he mentions on the Tomorrow Show? Like the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Some weird thing like
Paul
that.
does? I don't remember that right now.
Yeah.
So he admires Robert Plant, Rod Stewart. He's the people he still talks about to this day in every interview, pretty much. Pretty Things, Small Faces. Yeah, he used to mention them a lot more than he does now. Favorite actor, for some reason, well, this magazine's getting all Hollywood, I guess, so they're talking about everybody's favorite actors, or maybe just because they mentioned Gene's first, I don't know. But Jack Nicholson, that loves the Bionic Woman, why not?
He's mentioning Jack Nicholson pre The Shining.
That's true.
He's probably talking about like Cuckoo's Nest.
Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but he's mentioning Yardbirds, and that's killer.
And Small Faces.
Yeah,
Steve Marriott right there.
Yeah. Pucker up with the starry-eyed lover. The titles of the articles are just amazing. Let's see what else we got here.
Oh wait, show that.
What is it?
The reverse. Oh, it won't look reversed when you show it.
No, it will. I think.
No, it looks
Jason loves to point out these reversed
photos.
Paul pictures.
It looks fine now, but
Because-
was that the day he put the blonde streak in his hair? Because look how bright that is.
No, it looks fine to you right now, but to them it'll still be backwards, I think. Anyway,
It is a reverse photo.
that's
in
a
the
funny
magazine.
picture of Paul anyway, and that must be like the day he put that bleach in, because man, that's prevalent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually a killer picture of Ace I'd never seen before.
Oh yeah.
This is the reason why this is out is because this is the centerfold. Pretty cool. Oh, here we go. This is what
Okay,
I wanted to show this. Are they good kissers? What do you think?
What's the verdict?
What do you think?
What's the verdict?
Oh gosh, that's pretty funny.
Because all fans wanted to know.
So anyway,
Oh, I guess we know the answer to that now.
they got a, oh, will they ever take it off? They got a killer picture in the park. This is like a couple seconds later. They met up with those old ladies that are on the park bench over here.
I would like to point out that this picture is reversed.
He has got reverse radar. God, reverse pisses
It's
him
that
off.
the star, man. It just stands out.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about where I started in '84, and what were you doing in '84?
Well, Peter, in 1984, I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through puberty, and I was finding out about my special purpose.
In life,
You know, I'm hearing these songs about logs and fireplaces, and I'm like, what's going on down there?
I wasn't quite there yet.
So, yeah, heavy metal was really coming into the forefront of my brain. It's
I was
like,
11.
You know, a lot of these albums we're going to talk about, there's at least 5 or 6 that ruled my life in 1984, including the one we just talked about.
Yeah.
But Animalize came out later in the year. Other albums, like, you know, led me to that. But, yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is this album was huge for both of us.
Yeah, that was really big.
Talking about Stay Hungry, people.
That might have been the next big new release I got. You know.
The reason I said it's a good segue is, Peter,
Mm-hmm.
who's the first person they think right there? Can you read that? You got to put your readers on.
jsnflm.
It's me!
Nice.
I am the first person they think. And go get your Stay Hungry and look at it.
That's the other-
I swear to you I am.
The other jsnflm, huh?
It is the other JSNFlm. But 13-year-old me used to love telling his friends it was me.
Yeah.
But very cool. Jason Flom worked at Atlantic Records and got them signed. And but yeah, this and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. That's their pinnacle, I would say. And another thing about this, on this tour, they filmed an MTV concert. That concert was huge for me. You know, you tape it on the old VHS, and you know, you show your friends when they come over. And,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you know, we're not going to take it. I Want to Rock. I mean, they are a little silly now when you hear them. I can still get down in the car with I Want to Rock and crank it up.
Well, we're not going to take it as the best Slade song that Slade never recorded.
Yeah, true. I mean, but all the other songs besides those three, Stay Hungry. I mean, so what do we got on here? I Want to Rock. We're not going to take it. Really, those are the big singles. What was the third single? The third single was The Price.
Yeah, The Price.
And it was just a live video, right?
Yeah.
And they look cool in that video,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, there's not a bad track on here.
You gotta admit, they look absolutely ridiculous in the two big videos. They're funny.
Yeah.
I mean, they look crazy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when you kind of like Lick It Up. If you take Lick It Up off that album, that album is so good. But a lot of people don't know it because they don't get past Lick It Up. You know, to me, this is like that. And The Quiet Riot. If you take Come On Feel the Noise off, it's got some depth. It's
But
really,
then you
really
wouldn't
good.
have your big hit single. That made
Yeah.
it
You
number
gotta
one
have the
album.
big. I mean, Heaven's on
Yeah.
Fire. It's gotta be on Animalized. You know, you gotta. That's what Asylum was kind of missing that big single.
Right.
So then, of course, they probably felt like they failed. But you
They-
just gotta have
yeah.
that big single to get the masses out at the concerts. You know.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Just, you know, don't pussy out too much. You know.
Yeah.
You know, make it a good song at least, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this album, SMF, The
was killer.
Beast, Captain Howdy, all that.
Every song, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that and
Yeah.
again the one before it, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. Even Under the Blade's really good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I like Destroyer. That's a cool tune.
I remember getting Come Out and Play and being a little disappointed.
I like the song Come Out and Play, and there's a few others on it.
Be
but,
Cruel to Your School?
But
With Alice Cooper.
Oh, geez, yeah. Alice didn't help it very much. But, you know, it can't compare to Stay Hungry, but it does have some good stuff on it.
And you picked the next one.
So for me, at the time, I was really into the big stuff you heard, you know, the Priest, Scorpions, Van Halen. I was really into that stuff. Forever, this was my favorite Priest album.
Wow.
And I just think that every second of it, the tones, everything, every hook is filled. It's interesting. They're dropping beats here and there. It's very, very progressive. To me, it's way, way more progressive, with them just doing interesting things with riffs and cut time and stuff than Screaming. But Screaming is, it's absolutely classic, of course. But the production of this reminds me of the difference between Rush, Signals, and Grace Under Pressure, which is another one for me from '84. A beautiful album.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But the recording, it's an '84 recording. Like, it's an amazing recording. It really is. Some people probably feel like they lost that raw thing that Screaming had,
Well, this was their first album where you can really hear the 80s drum sound coming in.
There's some electric stuff in there.
Oh, yeah, this is... a lot of people think Turbo came out a couple years later and was just like, oh my god, Priests are so... They've changed. This album was kind of leaning towards that. Not all, keyboard heavy and all that, but...
It wasn't major like Turbo. Turbo's got a lot of major on it.
Yeah.
The great thing about this one, it doesn't have that silly song. Point of Entry
Rock
and
Hard,
all those
Ride
albums...
Free.
but that song kicks ass, though.
I know.
It's not this major pop song sing-along like they try to do.
Heavy Duty's cool.
On a lot of albums, they try to have a major key sing-along chorus thing. You know what I mean? All those albums kind of usually have a song like that. This one doesn't really. This is actually a really heavy album. Of course, the guitars have a little bit of chorus, and there's more verb on the drums. It's like Animalize. Things were headed into let's dress up all the tones. Let's color everything and get big long reverbs. But for Priest, I really like it. I really think it worked great.
I do like it. I just liked it more at the time.
You're in trouble.
Okay. Detention. Go to the corner.
God, the album cover too. That's
very cool.
Whew, I love that one.
Very cool. All right. Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
W.A.S.P. The debut. I would say...
It looks so small on CD.
I would say 90% of W.A.S.P. fans will tell you this is their best. Maybe even more than that. You know why? Because this is their best.
It is really.
It really is.
I mean, the first three.
I really do like The Last Command a lot, too, and I've seen them on that tour.
Yeah.
But this first album, man. I mean, first of all, if you're... maybe it was re-released like this, but the original album I got did not have Animal Fuck Like a Beast. But this version does. What a song. I mean, come on. I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, The Flame, On Your Knees.
Every tune. I picked
Tormentor.
this copy up because it had a couple extra live things on it. But
yeah, this is the shit right here.
Every song. And that one in Last Command, of course, it's kind of a perfect set.
Oh, yeah. What was after that? Inside the Electric Circus?
Inside Electric Circus, to me, perfect trilogy right there. I think it's great. But they were sort of maybe not pushing their boundary. I could see Blackie thought that, and he said it's time for a change, and I can see why he thought that. But for me, just wanting to hear more great W.A.S.P. songs, the first three.
So, they were dangerous. If you watch this, they were really totally dangerous.
It was shocking. It
was, without a doubt.
They were
onto something here.
Yeah.
They were.
I had all sorts of bloody Blackie Lawless pictures up on my walls and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and to find out later he was friends with Ace, that just solidified it for me. As right on. Okay, so, to be honest with you, lost interest in W.A.S.P. come the 90s. Going back and re-listening to some stuff, they had great stuff. I just had lost interest in them by that point. I don't even know why. Yeah, this album though from '84, absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say enough good things about it.
At the same time, another just huge group. I mean, this album was huge, and this album had the huge hit single and a couple other singles that were probably kind of big. At least Big City, right? Definitely Rock You Like a Hurricane was huge, and that's just the big single, the big
It
ridiculous
was totally huge.
sing along that you got to have.
It's still on like rock radio up here
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. And again, this album's kind of different because that song rocked. It does rock. You know?
Oh yeah.
You can leave that one on here. It's not like Look It Up where you got to take the title track off. or
Man,
whatever,
lick it up, hater over
but,
here.
yeah, not the fun. Yeah, Look It Up. The song is not. Yeah, but the whole album though, whole album so good.
I'm gonna say it, and he's probably gonna agree with me. This is their last really good album. Do you agree, Peter?
I can't even own any after this, to be honest.
Yeah, see, he agrees.
No, the live album.
Oh well, yeah, I'm not
The
counting.
live album for this tour is good.
Yeah. But this is the last album, like that.
It's not
that I
Tokyo
got,
Tapes
that I
though.
bought.
It ain't Tokyo Tapes though. It's
No.
good, but it's yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, killer.
This was
album.
them at their peak of popularity.
And 84, and with me personally being 11, this stuff was just so huge for me. And this really decided that, this really helped me decide that I was going to be a drummer and stuff, you know?
By the way, just because it's right here in front of me, I'll say it. You can thank this bad boy for, stuff like this becoming popular, because this brought heavy metal into the mainstream.
It really, charts.
So,
yeah.
You can really thank Quiet Riot for that, even though it's an early good album. Let's talk about some of the older rockers that were out at the time. How about the return of Deep Purple with Ian Gillan? This album was actually huge for me at the time.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Well, no, it was huge for me in about 85. I didn't catch on to it for just a little bit, but
yeah, I remember.
it's funny when you're a kid, it's like, go like, let me check the back catalog. Perfect Strangers, what's this? Oh, geez, an old album. It's been out for like 11 months. And it seems old when you're a kid. It just seems old because it didn't come out
I also remember at the
like
time,
that summer.
because Deep Purple had been around a while, at least like 15 16 years, and to me these guys, they were old as Christ. There was like, these guys are fucking old.
It seemed really old.
Yeah, in hindsight, they're probably in their early 40s, and here I am, 53.
Yeah.
But
they had really just put a stop to it like 7 years before, And Rainbow was actually doing really good at the time. Gillan was still like on hold because he was with Sabbath, and I think Born Again was killer. Personally, I love Born Again.
Born Again came out in '83, but we will say we love it.
It was, as popular as it was going to be.
Dark
it was,
as hell, that album.
It was popular through '84.
I love it.
Sure, yeah.
Trashed. Zero to Hero, come on.
That whole album, I love it.
Oh yeah.
So, to me, this one's really special because I got, as soon as I picked up the Quiet Riot single, and I told my dad I wanted to play drums. He picked me up a snare drum. I had Pyromania. Around that time, and when I got the Kiss stuff, he gave me 2 boxes of records, and Machine Head was in there, Birds of Fire, First Van Halen, a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of really cool stuff. But I instantly became, Nazareth Rampant was in there. Love Nazareth Rampant. But I instantly became a big Deep Purple fan because of Machine Head.
Oh, how can you not?
And started playing it all the time. And then this, this didn't just come out. It had come out right as I was getting into music. But when I picked it up, I was happy to say that it was killer. I thought it was killer.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old ears were happy.
Absolutely. So, my 13-year-old ears heard this and loved it. But, I knew Smoke on the Water, I knew Space Truck, and maybe a few others. But this was their first new album, like, in a long time. And I was like, yeah, like knocking on your back door. First of all, what's that about?
Yeah, pretty much every song.
Perfect Strangers, and it was on MTV too. That's probably where I first heard it and seen it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was killer, and I love it.
In between the time that I got Machine Head from my dad on vinyl and when I got a hold of this, I did go out and I did hear a few other albums that came out in between. And at the time, I wasn't I've become more of a fan of the whole catalog now. But at the time, with my dumb 11-year-old ears, it didn't quite hit me like Machine Head did. But when I picked this up, I was like, whoa, they're back, you know.
Yeah.
But the bad thing is, it really only lasted for this album.
Yeah.
And then it changed.
I've
again.
heard they're good now. You know, they're still putting out stuff, but
Well, yeah, when
I
you
don't know.
replace everybody.
I'm gonna
with-
put on in rock before I put on something new. You know.
Yeah.
So early '70s Deep Purple. I honestly just fit this right in with that because it's that good.
It really is that good.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's incredible about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, 2 huge thumbs up from us.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this? So this is probably the album everyone's like, yeah, 1984. Talk about it.
So I caught onto this in mid '86. Honestly, I wasn't into it at the time. Most of this stuff is stuff that really affected me, and maybe become, the drummer and stuff that I am now. But this one here, it took me a couple years to get into heavier stuff enough to know what was going on. Probably why I don't have a bunch of thrash here. Looking back, the guitar sound for '84, I mean, that's crazy. The guitar sound they got for '84. That alone blows my mind whenever I hear it. Whenever I hear the song Ride the Lightning and hear that chunk.
Yeah, this album is groundbreaking, really.
Yeah.
It really truly is. It's my favorite Metallica album. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, no, Master. This.
I heard Master first and I went back and got this. But
Yeah. I mean, Creeping Death, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ride the Lightning, Fight Fire with Fire. I mean, come on.
The recording, the sound of it is amazing.
It really is. And it's 8 songs. It's straight. It's to the point. I love it.
Can you think of any other chunky ass guitar sounds that were that chunky though from '84?
No.
Ever recorded on a record
No.
ever?
No.
I can't either. There's heavy, raunchy, like nasty sounding guitar, which is cool, but chunky, thrashy like this. I just feel like they kind of invented that really heavy palm mute.
It's
Not invented it, but they perfected it.
it's easily sonically one of the best early
Yeah.
thrash type of albums.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Because the reason why it sounds like this is because Lars was such a big Ritchie Blackmore, Deep Purple, Rainbow fan. And what is the album that had come out? Is it the one with the Surgeons on it? I think it might be the one.
Difficult to Cure.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one that was recorded at the studio when Lars got on the phone and worked it out, whatever. They ended up going to that studio.
Okay. Yeah.
So connections there,
Yeah. And speaking of heavy albums from '84, let me reach back and pull Satan closer to you. Because let's talk about Mercyful Fate for a second.
Admittedly, I wasn't into it for a few years later, but
Yeah, neither of us in 1984 were putting this on, but I sure wish I was.
in late '80s, I was, yeah.
So I have a confession. I did not get into this album until like 2 months ago. And I thank Ralph.
Newbie.
I thank Ralph, actually, because, well, a few people, actually. You're one of them. You've always preached King Diamond. And, there's a guy from the old Wells, of all people, who
Really?
was talking about this and King Diamond.
Kind of an
And-
alt country rock band in this area here.
Yeah, great band. And Shane, my friend, all these people. So I decided to give them a listen a couple months ago, and my mind was blown. Incredible.
And the King Diamond albums, especially the 3 that are right in the row of the story. I'm like, oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, Fatal Portrait. And
But those aren't '84,
Yeah,
of course. That's the
no,
next.
no.
That starts the next year, but this album is
Yeah.
killer.
this was their last album until they reunited in the 90s. So they had the EP, which, oh my god, those 4 songs are so fucking
It's really good too, yeah.
Melissa, which I actually prefer over this, but this is, it's fucking incredible. It's just,
And it's a great recording too.
listen to the time changes in these songs. It's incredible. A Dangerous Meeting. I hear a lot of Ghost in that. Ghost copied that song. I can't pinpoint what Ghost song it is, but they ripped it off.
I kind of got the first one I got was Conspiracy, and then Them. So whenever that was, Them was probably like what 87 or something like that. And so that's the time when I went back and checked out Mercyful, because I'm like, where's he coming from? I knew he came from this band.
It's funny, you can definitely hear their influences on these albums. Like there's a song, I believe it's on Melissa. Maybe it's the first, maybe it's EP, but it totally breaks down into this Thin Lizzy part.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in the song either, but it's so cool. Anyway, Mercyful Fate. I'm going to put this back up behind us. All right, there we go.
84.
1984.
So
Don't Break the Oath, by the way, is the name of the album.
Yep, yep. So another one that was actually really, really big for me at the time, the second Dio album, and to me, it's kind of like Diary of a Madman, Mob Rules After Heaven and Hell. You know, all these albums where there's the first album that a lineup made, but then the second album they made really gets like Peace of Mind and Power Slave. The second album that a particular lineup made, really, really gets just further dialed in and just they're on a roll. And I love Blizzard of Oz.
They've been on tour.
I love Last in Line, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best shit ever. But something about the recordings and what they know what they want to do. And Last in Line is like one of those to me. Part of a pair. But you know, that second album that came from a lineup. And
the second album was like Proving Yourself.
it's so killer.
Like our first album was killer. Listen to what we got now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So killer.
I mean, everybody knows the Last in Line. That's a killer single, by the way.
And who wasn't drawing that on their desk? This logo. I know I was drawing that on my desk.
Yeah, very cool logo.
Yeah, this was a huge album, and not only that, but the hits and stuff from the first album. So they were really on a roll.
I always liked Mystery. That's so commercial, that song.
Yeah.
Eat Your Heart Out's great.
I got songs like that got him a video on MTV. So
yeah, Last in Line. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kid with the Bad Perm in the elevator.
So there's some more heavy from '84. That was a big one for me.
And why don't you talk about that? Because you know way more about it
'84
than
is
I
so
do.
huge, and I got into this one in '85, and I had it on cassette. And I remember I didn't have a cassette that worked at the time, so I'd have to go out in my parents' Datsun and try not to kill the battery and listen to this on cassette. But the first Yngwie, I mean, really nothing compares to it. For the depth of this one, I really go to this one for kind of like the darkness and for the musicality. It starts with an instrumental. For '84, it's amazing. As a player, I'm like, people were having to go back to school once they heard this. They're like, we got to get real now about our playing and stuff. But the second album, I maybe put on more. It's just got a lot of great hooks, choruses, Viking, all that stuff. It's a great album. Rising Force is a great album. But this one, for '84, I mean, just fathom that. His level of musicianship for '84.
Yeah, he's an incredible player.
We
know that.
It was nuts. And there's people that are going to say, oh, wheedly, 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 I can't feel anything from it or whatever. It's like, I mean, that's just a defensive mechanism. His playing, I feel every second of everything that he plays,
But are the songs good, Peter?
Oh my God. Are these nice? Yeah.
I believe you.
The songs are amazing, actually.
Let me see what songs are. See if I've heard any of these. What was the single or the video?
No, really, no singles on
okay.
this. It's the second album that had the single stuff.
Okay.
With a dragon in a castle. That's pretty cool.
That's a cool Animalized shirt he has on, almost.
It is.
Leopard
By
print,
the way, how do
leopard
you like
print.
the new Animalized clothing line that came out? It's got the button-up shirt.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I should get that just to wear it on the show.
I worship the first two Yngwies. In Trilogy, things changed. They got poppy. They're like, let's bring in a bunch of major key stuff. They're trying to get on the radio.
What's the one where he's
Trilogy's got some good stuff.
What's the one where he's fighting a dragon on the front? Maybe he's not fighting it.
That's Trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking intermission all of a sudden because we're talking
Right.
Dio kind of, but yeah. So, but the first two Yngwie, they're really special. It's really about the music. They're not really trying to write pop hits. On the second album, they're writing a lot of really, really great hooks, but it's heavy. It's heavy all the way through, and his solos just kick your ass. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
Peter, he's playing Tacoma.
I'm going.
Are you really?
Oh, you gotta go. I'll let you borrow this.
Peter's gonna buy me a ticket,
You
and we'll
can't-
go and we'll review it for you.
You won't be able to deny it.
He's gonna convert me.
I don't like music that's just made to necessarily shred. This is way more than that.
Yeah, and he's playing 2 miles away from here in October. So
Yeah, right down the street.
yeah.
I mean, this was a game changer, I'm sure, but all the guitar players that really cared about what they were doing. That was a big one.
Let's talk about this guy right here.
Into the fire.
Dun, dun. Yeah, so my introduction to this was actually on American Bandstand
Yeah.
because they were on there.
Yeah.
And they were performing Just Got Lucky and I believe Into the Fire. For some reason, I'm only remembering Just Got Lucky, though. But maybe it was just that song. But they were interviewed and stuff. And I remember thinking, those guys are cool. Yeah. This was their second album, correct? Breaking the Chains was first. Remember the rock show with Henry J?
No.
On a local access channel. This guy named Henry J would introduce videos, and they'd play, Die Young by Sabbath a lot. Things like that. Run to the Hills was
pop hits like
Run
that.
to the Hills every week.
Yeah.
But Into the Fire, they played that a lot too. And I was like, man, that band's good. And so yeah, I got it and I loved it. And yeah, I'm gonna say this is their best album. Would you agree?
For me, it's the next two, but there's a lot of great stuff on there.
Yeah.
For me, it's, I take a couple of the poppy songs off under lock and key, and that's a pretty good album. And then, of course, Mr. Scary and stuff is on, the next
Back
album.
for the Attack's great.
Yeah, it is. It's got a lot of good stuff.
You're right.
And there's some poppy stuff on there, too, I have to kind of
Yeah.
skip if I'm not in the mood. But not that it's bad, it's just that,
This is probably their heaviest album, let's put it that way. Although there's a couple ballads.
Whenever I think of, what's the one? Into the Fire. So my friend started a club here in Tacoma, and he got George Lynch to do the opening. And he came up, and the singer came up for this little tour. So he was the singer from Lynch Mob. So they did like 5 Lynch Mob songs in a row, which just kind of like everybody was like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then lights went dark, and they kicked off Into the Fire, and people went nuts.
What club was that?
It was called the Backstage.
Oh,
on
we
6th
played there.
Ave.
We played there.
Yeah, we played there. But people went nuts, and it's like lukewarm for all these Lynch Mob songs. Into the Fire, oh my God! And he played. God, what did he play? It was 1 or 2 other Dokken songs, and every time he pulled out a Dokken song, the place like the roof was gonna like.
Yeah.
And he kept going back to Lynch Mob songs, and it was like, yeah, it's pretty good.
That would have been cool to go to.
They're trying to be nice.
So George Lynch was right here in Tacoma playing those songs. That's awesome.
I mean, nothing wrong with Lynch Mob, but Dokken, it was huge. It was huge in the mid-late 80s, so it affected a lot of us. So when those songs came on, it was magic. Yeah.
So, I seen them open up for Aerosmith.
What tour?
Permanent Vacation.
Unlucky
So
you.
Back for the Attack tour.
Yeah, that's cool.
At the time, I probably would have told you they blew Aerosmith off the stage.
Yeah.
In hindsight, who knows? But I do like me some old Dokken. All right. What's up next, Peter?
Well, we got a couple left. This is my pick,
Well,
and
a
this is
couple left
your
that we're gonna
pick. So this is another huge
Slid
one.
right out of your hands.
Slid. So this is another huge one from '84. The first one with John Sykes, and what he re-recorded some guitar for it. I think the American version maybe does have him replacing most of the guitars. But there's a lot of good Whitesnake albums before this one. They're not bad.
Oh,
but
yeah.
were any of those albums, why weren't they bigger? It's because the songs were pretty darn good. But on here, they started to get really good.
Yeah.
So
I almost would call
It's a
this
killer album.
almost like bluesy hard rock.
yeah,
Slow and easy.
this is the album where they kind of started to lose some of the bluesy, I think.
It was
They're
still there.
hanging on to some of it, but it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
straight up. There was
Were
no,
there songs about drifters on this one?
no,
Okay.
that's earlier.
That's
stuff.
coming later.
Yeah.
All right, it's earlier and later.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
killer album.
Yeah.
Slide it in.
No, I was into it at the time. I remember getting this from Columbia House Records and Tapes. Probably for a penny. And oh look, manufactured by Columbia House under license. So did Peter. He got it. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, very good. And was this the album before the big one?
Yeah.
So this came out in '84. The big one came out in what, '87?
Yeah. 86, 87.
They took some years off to perfect their craft, and they came out with a killer album in '87 as well. But Slide It In, kind of think that's about sex. I'm not sure.
Could be.
Slow and Easy, Love Ain't No Stranger. I mean, come on.
The whole album, really. Yeah. I love the whole album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good album. Ooh, okay. So now Peter's gonna throw you a curveball really quick.
I gotta say that I did like some, even though I was 11 and I was kind of dumb, I did like some rock and some pop rock at the time. I loved Men at Work. I loved the first handful of U2 albums. And for '84, this one was huge for U2. I mean, they got even huger after this. It was ridiculous. They got so big, it was just like ridiculous. But at this point, it was a good, healthy level of bigness, right? You know what I mean? Where they're not, stuff ain't getting too dumb yet. You know what I mean? Like
this is pre-Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're at the point here where there ain't too many ballads, and the ballads aren't necessarily the singles. They're keeping it pretty pure still at this point, but they were really good. That's some great rhythm section that gave them that great feel. You know,
to me, their peak was, you know, there's videos from Red Rocks, you know, where they're doing Sunday Bloody Sunday and all that. I think it's from this tour, and that was some good shit. Peter and I were talking about YouTube before we were rolling camera, and he was kind of like feeling me out. He's like, "Do you like these guys?" And I was like, "Actually, I do." But yeah, I have nothing against U2. They get a lot of flack. They do, you know, and
even Joshua Tree.
You know, people think, you know, Bono and he should keep his mouth shut sometimes and all
Well,
that.
maybe.
But music-wise,
A lot of people should keep their mouth shut.
yeah. But music-wise, U2's, they're just fine.
Dude, it
man.
rocked, dude. And even
Yeah.
a half or maybe more for me, probably 3/5 of Joshua Tree.
Oh,
Amazing.
actually, that's a great fucking
Oh,
album.
that's a great album, yeah.
Yeah, and Rattle and Hum, oh my god, that album's incredible.
You like it?
Yo, I love it.
Yeah. They
Some
started
good
to
stuff
lose
on
me
there.
there a bit. I do like some
Helter
of it, for
Skelter
sure.
and all that stuff.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullet the Blue Sky.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's on Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
But there's a live version
yeah,
on it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a good version?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pick that up again.
Yeah, Rattle and Hum's really good.
I
What
haven't
was the
had
song
Rattle and
from
Hum
it?
for years.
Desire was the single.
Yep, recorded Sun. Wasn't that recorded at Sun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's when they were really big. And they start doing stuff like going to crazy studios, and they were just huge.
They were crazy.
They were so saturated at that point. You know what I mean? But this is when it was still like, whoa, U2's on the radio, crank it up.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? I
exactly.
don't know.
Yeah. They do get, of all the bands we've talked about, they get the worst rap. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I wanted to mention it because even at the time, I thought it was pretty killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Peter.
Sure, Jason. Hey, everybody, we got a news flash. Red alert. Somehow, Jason and I, at least during that hour and a half he was here the other day, we talked about this beforehand too. One of the greatest hard rock albums of all time, and it's not just hard rock. It's insane. The whole band is insane, and they got better and better and better. And for me, again, if you take Jump Off, I mean, it's a fun song, but if you take Jump Off, this album, what are you doing there, Mini Jason? So this just one of the absolute best albums ever. I still listen to it almost weekly. How do you top it? I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So we had to stick. I told Jason we were going to get together next week and put our same shirts on and stick that little, do a little bit on this. But I said, what the heck? Let's just get the video up now. But I wanted to mention this. I pulled in Mini Jason here to help me with this here today. Thank you, Mini Jason. He's got blue tongue. Let's see your blue tongue. He's eating gummy sharks. Anyway, Van Halen, 1984. Ironically, the namesake of everything we're talking about today.
Okay, so
We got some other stuff to mention that we didn't have a
wait.
copy of.
I just want to, I want to stress that just because we're not going to be flipping the album or CD up, doesn't mean we don't love this stuff because Peter, my favorite album from 1984, we haven't even showed yet.
Yeah.
People are on pins and needles waiting. Every episode needs a cliffhanger. So we'll just start at the top and we'll kind of work our way down of this list. It's worth mentioning that AC/DC released 74 Jailbreak in 84. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that.
Don't forget that.
Well, that's going to be towards the end because that's an important.
That was a really big one for me.
Peter's writing secret notes about stuff we need to talk about.
Yep.
74 Jailbreak.
That was a big one for me.
Soul Stripper. The song Jailbreak. I mean, it was huge.
That was big.
And plus, this is like a throwback to the Bond stuff,
Yeah.
the early Bond stuff.
Yeah, because back then they were kind of like, they come out with a new album. 6 months later, they're releasing a combination of older stuff, and just for like a handful of years, they were nuts for it. I mean, they had the soundtracks they were doing, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk about really quick what they did right before that is Flick of the Switch. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
That's up there in my favorite Brian Johnson albums, without a doubt.
The reason why I thought earlier we had this talk about it, I couldn't believe that it wasn't 84 because I got it in 84. That's why.
Okay.
And for me, I was walking around with a boombox on my shoulder listening to Flick of the Switch.
No, it's...
And like a bandana, and I was...
The good thing about Flick of the Switch is none of those songs got played
You're not
constantly
sick
on the
of
radio.
any of them, but
You're
they're
not sick
great.
of it. It's fucking incredible.
But they're great.
The
yeah.
title track, all that stuff.
Are you, which way do you lean on the Flick of the Switch or, because it's kind of a pair, Fly on the Wall.
Oh, Flick.
It's two
Flick's,
albums.
Flick's my favorite
I think
Brian
so
album.
too. Some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like Fly on the Wall.
No, I like Fly on the Wall. I got it when it came out.
Yeah, it ain't bad. But
Stupid cover.
stupid
but,
videos. But I mean, for Flick, to me, Flick is like a really pure AC/DC. He's still writing really great songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
without a
recording
doubt.
is kind of stripped down, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to me. I love it, every
No.
song.
No, Flick of the Switch is incredible.
Yeah.
And
For me, that's an 84 album because that's summer. That's when I got
Right.
it. So.
But the real 84 album was 74 Jailbreak.
Yeah.
And yeah, right on. It's worth mentioning Black and Blue's debut album came out in 84. Pre Gene Simmons producing. A lot of people loved their first album more than the others. I prefer the Gene stuff.
I do
myself.
too. I do too.
Gene stuff had more of an edge to it, So we're gonna cross that off the list.
And also the next one, also the term used, worth mentioning. I think that's about all I'd say about that. The first Bon Jovi, worth mentioning. I mean, I bought it. I was a kid. I loved Runaway. I didn't really
Runaway's
like.
a good song.
I didn't like the rest of the album nearly as much, though.
I never did buy that one, but when I found out that this band called Bon Jovi were opening up, was it the Lick It Up tour?
Mm-hmm.
Overseas, I believe. I thought I gotta get their latest album, and that was
Band-wise?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
84. So 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. I bought that, and I actually really liked it.
I liked Fahrenheit a little better as an album.
Yeah.
In and Out of Love was good. Runaway was a pretty, like almost an Alda Nova mood to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. Kind of like,
Good comparison.
But the rest of the album at the time didn't hit me. But, I have it on vinyl because I found it at a garage sale or something for 50 cents. I thought, I'm going to try this and see just what do I think about it these days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. The actual songs are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
The songs probably didn't hit me then because I either wanted to hear heavier shit or I was just dumb. I don't know.
okay.
Probably both.
We probably talked about Bon Jovi more than we should have.
Yeah, that's way too long. So Crocus here, is that Headhunters?
No, that's the Blitz.
I liked Headhunters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
I like that one.
Hell yeah. But the Blitz
So
was
Crocus the Blitz, kind of.
Midnight Maniac.
Oh yeah. Is the whole album good? I can't remember.
I liked it at the
It's
time.
been a while. I kind of think of the Blitz as kind of a bargain bin. I remember seeing it like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe I'll check it out.
it didn't follow up of the greatness of Headhunter, but it's still good. It's still good.
We got Metal Church here,
okay.
Now,
Yeah,
first
so
album.
local metal, by the way, from our area.
but it's not local anymore. They're huge now.
Yeah.
I mean, they became world class for sure. The first Metal Church, the first three really, the first three.
This album, The Dark was second, right?
Yep, The Dark is the second one.
This album is Gods of Wrath,
Mm-hmm.
which, I'm just guessing, but I would probably guess they're encoring with that these days. That song
Yeah.
fucking rocks. And that was all over Seattle radio at the time, KISW and all that. The first Metal Church with David Wayne on vocals.
Oh yeah.
He died in a car wreck right here in Tacoma, like on 56.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I know a couple guys. I just gave one of my band shirts to the old bass player. No, to one of the old guitar players. But they started a group called Reverend with him. And Reverend, I thought it's one of those things where the singer takes off, and I kind of liked Reverend more than Metal Church at that point.
Really?
Yeah, Reverend was really good. And the guitar player, the bass player, I know them around here. We used to practice with them down at practice place here, but they became Reverend. So if anybody's a Metal Church fan, if you're not hip to Reverend, check it out. We just those Reverend guys, they played in a group. We just played this big, huge outdoor party, this summer bash thing,
Oh, that thing in Graham?
a couple weeks ago, and
gonna ask you how that went.
they're still doing good, man.
Right on.
It was
Right on.
fun seeing them.
Yeah, but R.I.P. David Wayne.
Yeah,
original
check out
vocals.
Reverend.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I know they practiced in Tacoma for a while, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of a
Who
bummer.
knows? Maybe he was leading practice or something.
That's a bummer.
If I remember correctly, it wasn't his fault. Somebody swerved.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
But the Reverend EP first album, that's good stuff.
yeah. So, worth mentioning, Motorhead released a compilation called No Remorse. Had a song called Killed by Death, though. If you squeeze my lizard, I'll put my snake on you. I mean, come on. It's pure Lemmy, that song.
Uh-huh.
Killed by Death. It's just worth mentioning. Motorhead, I mean, come on. Like, I personally, I love Motorhead. Like, up until really the mid-'80s, you can't go wrong with any of that stuff. And there's even good stuff later on. And I've seen them in concert 3 or 4 times, and yes, the legend's true. Louder than fuck.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to cross them off the list. We mentioned Slayer's debut came out, the EP, Haunting the Chapel. 4 songs. It's sonically, it's no Ride the Lightning.
Did that come out first? Hell Awaits is like 85.
Yeah, I can't.
So the first one was Show No Mercy.
Haunting the Chapel, the EP was first, though, I believe.
Really?
I believe.
I thought that was after.
I could be wrong, but I know they put out the EP, Haunting the Chapel, in 84.
Well, let's just say that they existed in 84.
I'll say two. I'll say 2 words about Haunting the Chapel, though. Chemical warfare. Okay. Yes, it's worth having. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, look at this one. This one right here. Okay, you Kiss fans still around? Because we're talking to you right now. An album by Wendy O. Williams called WOW, or W-O-W. It features one Paul Stanley on guitar, Eric Carr on drums, and even Vinnie Vincent on guitar, only because they recycled a Creatures of the Night demo called Legends Never Die. Later on recorded by Carmine's band, King Cobra. So anyway, a lot of connections. The Wendy album is incredible. I fucking love this album. Bump and Grind. Oh, I forgot to mention, Ace is on the album. Bump and Grind, that solo, Ace. Okay, this is it. You're a Kiss fan? Put on Bump and Grind from this album we're talking about. Tell me that's not Ace's best guitar solo from the 80s. Okay, maybe minus Dark Light. Fucking incredible solo. Yes. Absolutely incredible. I love this album. Can't say enough about it. We should do an episode about it someday. We probably won't.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, It's My Life is on there. There's even a video for it. Yeah, it's incredible.
I like her version of that, actually.
Yeah, he kind of took Wendy, who of course was in the Plasmatics, who have more of a punk vibe, and he kind of made like a heavy Kiss album, and I like it a lot. Unfortunately, didn't do much for her, and the story down the line ends in tragedy.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look up that on Wikipedia, but yeah, I love it. Can't say enough good things about it. It's basically a Kiss album with her singing. Kiss, they're all over it. Gene co-writes. The first song's called "I Love Sex," and rock and roll.
It's deep.
It's deep. It's deep. Very deep lyrical content. All right. So what do we got next?
I'll mention Ratt because Out of the Cellar is still amazing, just sonically when you hear it. All the songs, it's heavy, it's killer. His voice is so weird and original. And I remember walking around with a cassette Walkman, listening to it, walking back from school, and it was a big one for me. It made me want to, it's another one that made me want to get a drum kit, which I did that coming fall. Got my first snare drum anyway.
Yeah.
First Ratt album, man.
Yeah. First full length. Let me say really quick. Their EP from a year before, one of the best rock EPs you're going to hear. That and the Queensryche EP that came out like in '83. Some of their best work.
And The Warning actually was 84,
yes,
right? The Warning's 84.
Yeah.
The Warning's really good.
Oh, yeah. Ratt was huge for both of us. I think of Ratt more as like just a rock and roll band, really. Hard rock.
A little extra heavy, though.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we're talking about all these metal bands like Metal Church and stuff. No, they were nothing like that. They were like, you could tell they listened to a lot of Aerosmith growing up, things like that.
Killer production on those first couple albums, and the guitar sound, the guitar sound, the drumming. I mean, really, really good.
Yeah,
really super good.
Back for More, Lack of Communication, of course, Wanted Man, Round and Round. You know, She Wants Money. You know,
and it had the big single that got him on the radio that really gave it that extra.
There you go. MTV, I mean, it was all over that. Milton Berle was in the video.
Yeah.
When Warren drops down on the table to play that solo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, they had a killer guitar player in Warren, you know? Yeah, just great.
Oh, he's one of the best.
Great band. I will say really quick, Stephen Pearcy's still out there, and he's doing this album in its entirety. He's worth seeing. Yes.
He is right now?
Yeah. It's like the 40th anniversary of it. So.
Wow.
Yeah, he's worth seeing. Believe me. You know, I know he's the only original member Ratt, you know, playing out there. Well, at least doing it right.
You talked with him, didn't you?
Yeah, I met Steve.
Yeah, he seems like I watched some interviews. He seems like a just down.
Oh, he's so cool. He's so cool. But he's not going to be doing it much longer. So get out and see him when you can. And like I said, he's doing that album in its entirety, and his band is incredible. Johnny Monaco on guitars, Eric on the other guitar, and yeah. Oh, you know who's playing drums with him right now is Bloss from Slaughter, but he had Scott Coogan playing with him, who's now playing with Ace. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can't. Ratt. I mean, we could sit here and talk about Invasion of Your Privacy.
It was a really, really big one.
Yeah, Ratt.
I mean, in '84, Quiet Riot, Kiss, Defenders of the Faith, Twisted Sister.
Yeah,
that was the biggest. That was the biggest stuff for me. My friend one time. We'll see if Robbie ever watched this video. I'll know he did because he'll message me probably. But we're playing pool. He goes, "You know who I like? You know who I like that doesn't wear a lot of makeup? I wonder if I've told this story before. Yeah. They don't wear a lot of like weird makeup and stuff like that and dress up. They just play really good. They just rock out. It's just really good music, you know." He goes, "Ratt, you know what I mean, man?" And I'm like, they wear quite a bit of makeup. I remember that. It's just an hysterical moment.
Yeah.
And I remember I never really broke it to him that I think they dress up quite a bit, bro. But I was down, though. I liked them.
Yeah, I know the Rob you're talking about.
Such a funny moment. Yeah, my old friend Rob's an ass.
Yeah, exactly. So Ratt, couldn't talk more highly of them. Let's talk about this bad boy. Okay, so, we're from Tacoma, near Seattle. Queensryche is from Seattle. Bellevue, I think, actually, technically. But so when their EP came out in '83, I mean, I don't know about you, I was fucking blown away. It's like the video was on the rock show I spoke of earlier, a local cable show for Queen of the Reich, and yeah, I was like, wow. I mean, they had a Maiden vibe. The first EP is like
to this day that EP. Every song. I put that EP on repeat
all 4 songs are 10s.
And they have a lot of cool connections around here. Like, you'll just be driving on the freeway and wow, there's the Queensryche bus, like taking them home after a tour or whatever. Because they're here in this area in Seattle. So also Jeff Tate went to my high school, so I always wanted to figure out which
Wilson
locker
High
was.
School?
Yeah, he went to Wilson.
You know who else went there? Ted
Bundy.
I know, Ted Bundy.
I know. Also, when I used to hang out with Rob out there that I was talking about, I lived in an area called Graham, a little south of here. And I'd be walking between my house and my friend Brian's house. And we'd be walking by, we'd be hearing a band play. And then like a few years later, I found out that was Queensryche at that was one of their practice places they had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in about 80...
Wait.
That was about 83.
Queensryche, they were practicing in Graham?
Yeah, in a garage, yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah. But we walked by and we heard this band banging around. This is like a couple years.
Went up there, man.
This is a couple years before we got instruments. We were just fans. We were just listening to balls to the wall.
So what year was this?
And whatever. This is like 83.
Okay, we're on the EP time.
Yeah. So, for all I know, they were rehearsing songs to record the warning. I mean, I don't know.
Why were they in Graham though? Well, I mean, somebody had to live there.
They had some connection out there. I don't know, but the guy from the house himself told me when I walked by, because I dropped by a few years later and we were chatting, and I said, "You used to have a band rehearsing here. Do you play?" And he said, "No, that was Queensryche." So,
wow.
So just little connections like that around here because they're from here. Like Heart, you always hear connections and people that know them.
Wow.
So,
wow, that's incredible. And a year later, they're touring with Kiss.
But for me, the first 2 Queensryche releases, amazing. Rage for Order, pretty darn good. You know what I mean?
I loved it.
It's good, but I like the Warning in the EP a little better, just me. But then Operation, oh my god. I went back and visited Operation recently, and it's unbeatable. I mean,
it's a masterpiece for what it is.
It really is a masterpiece.
It's their pinnacle, you know. It's like downhill from there.
There's no
I guess you could
silent
say.
lucidity. There's no like rock ballad or nothing like that. It's
Empire was good though.
Pretty amazing.
Empire was decent, you know. But after that, DeGarmo left and downhill.
Yeah, it has good stuff on it. Just I just hate it all. No, I'm joking.
But the Warning from '84.
84 was such a huge.
This is
huge
the album
hit.
that got him on the Animalized tour. I love it. It's not. I'm proud to say my 13-year-old mind listened to this album constantly because it's not instantly accessible. You're not going to be
The
put
EP?
it on. No, the Warning. You're not going to
Yeah,
put it
the
on
Warning.
the first time and this rocks, man. You got to listen to it
Yeah,
3
yeah.
or 4 times.
It's very progressive and dense.
Yeah, for a 13-year-old, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
He was 11.
The EP is probably as accessible as any Iron Maiden album.
Exactly.
Hooks everywhere, really well written, straight to the point. Progressive still, but the Warning, there's some stuff going on for sure.
You know, when they did the EP and all that, they hadn't even played a show yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they hadn't even played a show.
What?
Yeah, they got signed without even playing a show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense why I'd hear him rehearsing for upcoming.
In
shows
Graham,
and stuff.
people don't understand about Graham. Graham's this little, like, hick town, like, 60 miles south of Seattle. It's like, it blows my mind they were there. It's like, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, Queensryche, especially the early stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, Rush, Grace Under Pressure, and admittedly, I wasn't really into it. Kid Gloves, Distant Early Warning, there was a couple singles, right, that I knew it existed, but I didn't quite get it, because it is a dense album. It's not a really poppy, overproduced, poppy, super polished album, but it is a polished album in a really dense, progressive, dark kind of way. And for me, that is the most overlooked Rush album of any of them.
I've heard you call it your favorite.
Oh, it's my favorite from start to end as an album that I could just have on repeat going all day long. Love, love, love Grace Under Pressure. And it doesn't necessarily compare to Fly By Night or whatever, but everything, of course, doesn't have to be comparable. After that, they started to get a little more radio.
Oh, big time.
And there's nothing really radio about Grace Under Pressure. You just have to kind of try, but it's
The keyboards were heavier, but they were going in that direction.
but it was dark keyboards. It was
Signals had a lot of keyboards.
That's true.
So did Moving Pictures.
Yeah.
I had the cassette of Grace Under Pressure.
Yeah.
I bought it at SeaTac Mall with Peace of Mind, and also I bought some cinnamon toothpicks, which I made myself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I would sit there with my cinnamon toothpicks and listen to these on my boombox.
Dude, cinnamon toothpicks.
Yes.
That was a thing in the mid-80s.
Oh, big time.
Why was that
People don't
such-
understand. The kids don't understand.
Why was that such a big thing?
I don't know.
No wonder we were so
I
skinny
wanna bring it
then.
back.
Our snacks were toothpicks with flavor. I used to buy toothpicks that were cinnamon toothpicks.
I want a snack, Mom. Here's a toothpick.
I have not thought about that since it happened.
Cinnamon toothpicks. You could get your own, like, little, almost like a little vase. that
Yes, and you made
dipped
it.
them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I rolled my own. I dipped my own.
Dude, I have
dipped
not
my
thought
own.
about that I wonder if that's like a West Coast thing or something.
Anybody out there ever do their own
Huh.
cinnamon toothpicks?
I'm kind of astonished that that hasn't entered my brain since the last time
But that's the thing. I relate cinnamon toothpicks with Grace Under Pressure.
You did?
Yeah, that's my thing.
What a great pair.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was my introduction to Rush, too, really, as far as its first Rush album I ever bought.
Dude, I know that it sounds like maybe it's not poppy, but I know it sounds more commercial from the really great production and stuff. But from start to end, the way those songs go from song to song, and there's a story interwoven, and Peter Henderson produced it immaculately, and it's not what you would call like raw, like it's not like the first album or whatever, but it's when something is built that well, it's not really about being raw, it's about, I don't know, to me it's just such a masterpiece. Grace is such a masterpiece.
Oh.
I found one other person at the Valley where I work. I was playing songs from it. He goes, "Well, I love this album," and we got into talking about it, and it was his favorite album too. But I've only really ever heard that from one other person. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite Rush album, but I do love it. And
hate you. Good.
okay.
What is your favorite Rush album? Moving Picks.
I know. I hate saying it because it's such a like. It's like saying your favorite Kiss album is Destroyer.
It's a big one for a reason.
Or
It's
my
huge.
favorite Beatles album is Sgt. Pepper. Yes, my favorite Rush album is Moving Pictures, but it's that fucking good.
I'd probably have to say that or Hemispheres too, but for flow, and I try to separate them. Am I thinking about Grace Under Pressure as the underdog album? Am I overthinking it? But I really do love it from start to end. It's crazy good.
Yeah, All the World's a Stage is good. I mean, not All the World's a Stage. Their first live album, which was called.
Oh, the World Stage.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
That's a great album.
Yeah. The first live album was incredible.
I mean, there was no losers. I mean, for years, and even after that, they just kind of changed. All the albums were good.
Yeah. Let's put it this way: Grace Under Pressure. Well, I love Signals too. I call Grace their third best album of the '80s. How about that?
For me, Power Windows has got some great stuff on it, but they kind of lost me on some of it. They did. Not that it's not good. It has a different momentum, and it's just
Geddy had the mullet going on, and
it's not riff based anymore. It changed. So for me, Grace is the last one in the series.
So before I get into my favorite album of 1984, it's a band we haven't even mentioned yet. What would you call
Never.
What would you call your favorite if you had to pick one of all
One
all
favorite?
that we're talking about?
Well, it depends on if it's going to be thrash or rock or whatever.
And it could just be the one that means
I'm just
the
going to
most.
say I don't do favorites. There. How about that?
Cop Out.
Well, I'm going to say Animalized because it's meant the most to me over the years. I'd have to say it's closest to me out of all of them.
So the moment you've all been waiting for. My favorite album of 1984 is
Wait.
Hanoi Rocks, Two Steps from the Move. All right, the fans go crazy.
Yeah.
This is why. First of all, let's just get it out of the way. It's produced by Bob Ezrin. Okay. Being Kiss fans, we all know his history.
He's okay.
Okay, now Hanoi Rocks, they put out 3 or 4 albums before this, and they finally get a big time producer. They're on Columbia Records. It's like going to be huge, right? And they do this album. Two Steps from the Move, came out summer of '84. The thing is fucking incredible. Okay, now their look was nothing new. They had scarves on. They looked like, early Aerosmith or the Dolls or something. But
They did look like dolls.
Michael Monroe could sing.
Mm-hmm.
Andy McCoy on guitar, Nasty Suicide, that was his name on the other guitar. Sam Yaffa, Razzle drumming. The album it's from start to finish. It's just it flows. Underwater World. It's just Boulevard of Broken Dreams. They do a cover. The album opens up with a cover of Up Around the Bend by CCR. It's just I love it. It meant so much to me at the time, and it got me into them. Okay, here's another cool thing. They put out a live album that very same year, All Those Wasted Years. I know, Shane, this is for you. I know Shane thinks it's one of the best live albums of all time. I would call it probably the best live album of the 80s. Now, in saying that, there weren't a whole bunch of great live albums from the 80s, but it is really super fucking good. Unfortunately, we're not going to
Speak of the devil.
we're not going to speak of the devil.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into it, but also in '94, tragedy struck the band, and they were no longer after that. But Two Steps from the Move, Hanoi Rocks. I loved it at the time. I love it now. And yes, he is right. That album probably has the most memories for me.
Yeah.
Animalized. and Rat's close. Even Queensryche. There's some really good stuff from 1984. There really truly is.
Yeah.
There's a
84
reason.
was a huge year for metal.
Yeah, you talk about bands. Every band has their pinnacle. So many bands were peaking at this time.
They were. That's why you see these memes on Facebook where it's got like 12, what's your favorite from 84? There's a lot of those from '84 because there's so many great
I
albums.
bet you
from
nobody
84.
has Hanoi Rocks. I mean, you talk about bands in their prime. Every band had their prime. You know, Aerosmith, you think mid-70s, you know. A lot of these metal bands were in their prime in 83, 84, you know. And I would like to think we've highlighted some of them. Oh my God, Peter.
It's the new wave.
Peter,
What?
we haven't talked about Power Slave. Oh my God.
Oh, geez. We're going to have to make this a 3-hour episode.
Wow. How could we not mention Power
I
Slave?
mentioned Power Slave earlier. The reason why is because we don't have the album sitting here.
Yeah, and I didn't write it down.
So,
Can you imagine if
Power
I
Slave.
didn't remember it, and
Power-
on the way home I thought of it?
Power Slave is one of the absolute biggest. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's the one after Peace of Mind, which is like same lineup, but the recording even a little better.
Yeah. Power Slave is literally like, we'd probably put that in our top 5 of 84, and we haven't mentioned it until now.
And we talked about it earlier too.
And the reason I just thought, well,
And we played it. We
were playing it before. We were getting psyched for this, listening to like the song Power Slave. But talk about bands at their peaks. I mean, think about that trilogy they had. I mean, first of all, you got the Diano stuff, which is incredible. Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Power Slave. I mean, wow. I mean, and Power Slave was sonically the best. You were talking about the drum sound earlier was the best.
You know why Iron Maiden is so special? When they do what they do, they do their They have tons of Iron Maidenisms that they do. The things they do, they're 2-part riffs that have a second ending, and their harmony guitars, all that, the kind of vocalists. But they are heavy, like really heavy, but also really melodic. But they never really sold out and did dumb shit. You know what I mean? Seriously, like they didn't work with Desmond Child. You know what I mean? They just were not that kind of thing. They always. Yeah, it was very, very melodic at times.
They never turboed out.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have a turbo. They didn't have a Crazy Nights. They are, you know, they never did that. They always were Iron Maiden. You know.
You didn't hear about Ron Nevison producing the next Maiden album.
Yeah. I can't hear the guitars.
They definitely. You know what? It's paid off for them. Their fans have stuck by them, and they're just as popular now as they ever were. Really, you know.
I mean. Who knows? Maybe concert ticket sales wise, maybe more. I mean, they're absolutely classic now.
They're one of those. They're like a legacy act at this point, you know.
And he can sing pretty darn good still. Who can sing like they did when they were 25? But he can sing. He's pretty good still.
Yeah, I haven't checked out their recent stuff, but I assume he's, you know.
There was a recent interview with Paul Stanley, and I think he actually used Bruce as an example of not everybody could sing, like. Pull it off at a certain age, like Bruce can.
Wow. Okay.
That was pretty cool of him. That was cool of him to be aware of Bruce.
Yeah. Speaking of that, R.I.P. Aerosmith. Okay. Yeah, for some of us, maybe they were done in '85, but they continued on, and they were still out there doing it. And you know, it's just sad that it had to end that way, with Steven not being able to pull it off anymore. But you know, let's remember them for what they were—a great fucking '70s hard rock band. Right, Aerosmith. But Maiden, yeah, we're back to Maiden. Power Slave is incredible. It spawned one hell of a live album. We're talking about good live albums earlier from the 80s, Live After Death. Scream for Me Long Beach. Yeah, great
Power
album.
Slave. Forever it was my favorite. And it really still is. But I really do put on Seventh Son of a Seventh Son a lot lately. Last few years, that's a go-to for me. And I did love it at the time. But I felt like they had lost something a little bit. Somewhere in time, I thought was on a level with Power Slave, but the guitar tones changed a little bit. They got a little more modern, a little more distorted. I think for me and probably most people, Power Slave is the perfect balance. Peace of Mind, if you could call it more raw, it is a little more raw.
But it's a step up from like Number of the Beast, I would say.
Production wise, and you know, I mean, Clive's a good drummer, but I mean, you know, on Peace of Mind they got a really, really great drummer, you know. And Power Slave is like the same quality songwriting as Peace of Mind, but something about that recording, whether it's the drum room or boosting a little low on those toms, or I don't know, the toms just sound magic on everything, the cymbals, the snare. On Power Slave, they really, really perfected those drums.
Recorded at Compass Point. in the Bahamas.
Indeed.
We had to look it up because we were like, wow.
He knew that. Come on, you knew it. Don't give that away.
Produced by Martin Birch. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but Power Slave, kind of maybe second after Animalize, and we didn't mention it until the last 4 minutes of the video.
I know. So yeah, that was huge for both of us at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching if you got this far. So 1984, one hell of a year. And back to reality now. Here we are, 2024.
Yeah, 2020. And how
where's
many
all the good? Where's all the good music these
how many
days?
albums do we love from 40 years later coming out this year?
Yeah, exactly. I can't name one good album that came out this year, really.
I will say, for me, two bands these days that I still really, really look forward to each release, kind of on a level of the bigger bands on major labels. And for me, those two bands, and there's some other groups on smaller labels, but for the major label groups, when I'm waiting for their album and I'm pumped, it's Mastodon and High on Fire. Those are my two
Okay.
big ones where I'm kind of pumped for. I'm pumped for them too, to see how how far they can go. You know what I mean? You know, when you were rooting for your big group, and they're huge, like on the cover of magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
The true groups for me these days, where I'm into it, and I feel a connection with what they do, and I'm hoping they stay on top. It's High on Fire and Mastodon. What about you?
These days, I mean, I like a lot of local stuff, obviously. But, bands that no one's ever heard of, to be honest with you.
No one big, heavy, or rock, really?
No, I can't. No, not really.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I'll listen to the old stuff, man. That's why we did this 1984 episode. To be 13 again.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for watching. Any way you slice it, you can't deny it, right?
We gotta come up with how about like a David Lee Roth thing where we
Okay,
both go.
same time.
Let's
Sit. Okay.